You're listening to episode 7 of the Dear Crochetpreneur podcast with psychotherapist and crochet designer turned crochet business coach and your biggest cheerleader, Pam Grice. Well, hello there, crochet CEOs. Welcome to the Dear Crochetpreneur podcast. I'm Pam Grice, and I'm here to help you turn yarn into money with therapy for your crochet business. Today's question is brought to us by Melanie of Timmel Crochet. She asks, I currently have 2 niches or 2 ideal customers. I make Chihuahua hats and other dog accessories, but I also like to create patterns that aren't related to dogs. Is there a way to combine the 2 niches, or should I have 2 different businesses? Well, Melanie, thank you so much for your question. And let's talk a little bit about what do we mean by target market and why do we focus on having one target market? And then we'll talk about maybe some options for you and your business. So first, the reason that we have a target market is so that we have clear messaging in our business, so that when someone encounters our business, they know, hey, this business is for me. Like they're speaking my language, they understand me, they know my pain points, and they're creating products to help me do better at whatever it is that what they're doing. Live a better life, live happier, live safer, whatever it is that you're helping them to do. Knowing who your target customer is going to help you get the right message to the right person. So it also helps you focus your energies when you're creating your marketing materials, whenever you're creating content, creating new products. You can take a look at who is my target customer and how can I meet their needs. So one other thing about knowing your target market is that because you're creating this consistent message, you build expertise in a particular area, and so you become known as the go-to person for whatever it is that you're offering. So those are some of the benefits and reasons that we create a target customer when we're working on our businesses. One other thing that I had thought of earlier is that ad targeting. When you have a targeted customer and a specific person that's coming to your blog or coming to your website or engaging with your social media, that you create a Facebook pixel to target those people, you know that you're targeting people who are interested in your specific business. So when you have a business with multiple target customers, all of that kind of gets jumbled. I have run across this several times in my own business. When I first started having an Etsy shop, I started as an artist. Then I realized a lot of people don't buy art on Etsy, or maybe they do, and I just wasn't marketing properly. But anyway, so I turned my artwork into jewelry and using Shrinky Dinks, which was really fun, and that became pretty popular. And I also had another shop in which I drew memorial paintings of dogs. So I kind of had a similar target audience as you do with your Chihuahua hats and things, because I knew that dog lovers love to buy things. And so I was like, I can target this customer group and make money at that. And then I also had my crochet shop. So I actually had 3 shops at the same time. And those are 3 very distinct customer bases, right? So they were all very separate. They had different names, they had different shops, they had totally different business models. That's kind of what's happening with you and your business. Another way that we might have 2 target customers is a lot of times crochet business owners will have this in that they're selling products and they're selling patterns, and that's what you're doing. But your products and your patterns are very different, right? In my business, where I have sold products and patterns, both, again, I had 2 separate target audiences, and I did have them in the same shop. However, if I had it to do over again, personally, I would do it differently. Because again, it's hard to market to 2 people at the same time within one business. So while I did do that, whenever I would put out a new pattern, my product customers would feel confused. And whenever I sold a product, my pattern buyers would be like, I don't need to buy that, I crochet, right? So I'm talking to 2 very different people. I would go ahead and separate that if I were to do it again. The reason I haven't separated that my Made with a Twist business is because my listings on Etsy now are several years old and they're generating traffic and SEO, and I don't want to mess that up. So that's why I haven't separated them. And actually now I stopped selling products on my Etsy shop so that I could focus solely on designing. And even though I'm focusing solely on designing in that piece of my business, I'm still talking to multiple people, or actually I'm still selling to multiple people, but I've chosen to talk to only one. I create patterns specifically for crochet sellers, right? And other people are free to come to my blog and free to join my email list, and they're free to engage with my patterns or purchase my patterns on Etsy, but I speak specifically to crochet sellers. In my marketing materials, I'm always speaking to crochet sellers. I'm not speaking to hobbyists. And when I have people come into my blog and sign up for my email list, I have them select segments for themselves. So they can say, I'm a crochet seller or I'm a crochet hobbyist. So I can keep those people separate on my newsletter. So when I send out a newsletter, if it's specifically focused on business, I only segment it and send it to my business people. If it's just a brand new pattern that anybody might like, I send it to everyone. So is it possible to have two different target customers? Absolutely. Is it hard? Yes. And should they be very similar, even though they're different target audiences? I believe so. I think that if your customers are distinctly different, meaning one hardly even crosses over into the other, right? For me, I have crochet hobbyists who may cross over into being crochet business owners, right? But typically you're going to have someone purchasing your products who does not crochet. That's not always the case, but typically that's going to be the case. So having those two businesses under one name or under one roof is going to be difficult when it comes to messaging and marketing and reaching your target people. Because when you start selling your dog hats, your crocheters are going to be like, what? They might say, hey, do you have a pattern for that? Which could be good for you. But when you start putting out patterns and marketing that on the same account as you're selling your other products, those product buyers are going to be confused and be like, you don't know who I am. Like, you're not for me. And then they're going to start unfollowing you. And it's the same with your newsletter. You're going to have to specifically segment those people so you're not talking to both of them at the same time, because it creates confusion. Confusion is the enemy of profits, okay? So we're trying to be specific with our customers. So my suggestion is to separate the businesses. You don't have to do that, but it's very hard to manage your business when you're speaking to two very distinct customers. Some things to think about if you are going to keep everything together is that you may need more hands on deck, because speaking to two target customers is very difficult. You're going to have to create twice as much content in order to reach those people that someone else would be doing if they were focusing on one target customer. So that's something to think about. Another thing to think about is that typically when you have your focus split between two different target audiences, one part of your business is going to suffer. So you may have to consider beforehand, before you make this decision, which part of my business am I willing to let suffer? Because you can't focus on both things at the same time, and you can't, well, you may be able to, but it's unlikely that you'll be able to do a great job at both sides of that business. My suggestion would be to get some systems and processes in place behind one of those parts of your business and get that really rolling and up and running until you start the other piece. So I do that with my Crochetpreneur and my Made with a Twist businesses, in that I have one section that I focus on. Most of my energy goes to my Crochetpreneur business. When I have time left over, that focuses on my Made with a Twist business. I can't focus my energies intently on both sides of my business, right? So I do have two separate businesses there. I have my crochet business coaching, and I have my designing for crochet sellers. Very similar audiences, but still distinctly different. Right? So let's see. I'm looking at my notes. Okay, that looked like it was about all of it. So let's just go over that really quickly. Clear messaging is important. Getting the right message to the right person is important. Can you market to two different audiences? Yes, but it's hard. You're going to need help. You're going to probably, one side of that business is going to suffer, and so you need to decide which to focus on. It's easier to do this if your target audiences are aligned in some way, but if they're distinctly different, it's really hard to do this. Be sure to segment your newsletter so that you can speak specifically to each audience separate from one another. Remember that confusion is the enemy of profits. It's really important that you target your messaging to the correct person, and then diversify your post, newsletters, website, and shops so that you can speak distinctly to those two different people rather than having all of this bundled under one business name. So even if you keep it under one business, I would still have two separate social media accounts, one to speak to one audience and one to speak to the other. So I hope you found that helpful. You're going to have to make some decisions as the CEO of your own business of how you want to operate this. Everyone's going to choose a different way, or there's not that many ways to choose, right? But everyone's going to choose what way works best for them. So decide what way works best for you. For more help about target audience, finding your niche, and those kinds of things, you can go to episode 7's show notes. Those are at crochetpreneur.com/7. I'll have links there to more resources, articles on finding your target market and niche, and then some worksheets to help you through that process. I think you'll find those really helpful as you continue to grow your profitable crochet business. That's it for today. Be sure to get your printable handmade business binder when you go to crochetpreneur.com/binder. And never miss an episode when you subscribe to the Dear Crochetpreneur podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcast listening platform. If you'd like your crochet business to be featured on an upcoming episode, be sure to go to crochetpreneur.com/questions and submit your question. I want to thank you for tuning in today. It means so much to me that you'd spend some time hanging out, and I can't wait to do it again next time. Until then, I'm cheering you on.